Music, take it away.
Welcome to the Sunday brunch with Ben and Ned. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ned.
Hi there.
Hi, Ben. Hi, Ben.
Our guest today is Cliff Humphrey, who is a legend in his own time.
Thank you for being with us today.
Well, I'm pleased to be here. It's wonderful what you guys are doing. It's great.
Grandfather of
recycling.
It is said,
And of course,
I
that's
believe
only
it is true.
Piece of it.
That's only the tip of the iceberg.
Yes, yes.
Well, Cliff, that's one thing we'd like to talk about today is your story. How did you get started in the green movement?
In the green movement. Well, I was a surveyor in San Diego County, out east, on the road to Phoenix. There's a certain style to saying on the road to Phoenix. The Firebird. We were doing routine surveying work out of one of those orange public works vehicles that you see. We had a crew of 5 guys, and we were out putting up yellow tape markers between the corners and red pyramid markers on the corners for a jury to come look at in a condemnation trial. The matter was, this fellow, this old gentleman, had his house and barn and garden on top of a hill that was soon to be replaced by a freeway, 10 lanes wide.
Now, along about what time frame, what decade are we talking?
60s.
60s. 50 years ago.
So this was just a little man who was in the way.
Yeah, a little man in the way. His mountain, his little hilltop was going to be part of the freeway somewhere out toward Phoenix, going to fill it in. That's what highway rangers do. They balance the cut in the fills, so they end up with no leftovers. They do this. So, condemnation trial, we were the survey crew filming, identifying the corners. So what the jury would see would be just like the exhibits they had in the jury room. They wanted to see red and yellow where they saw it on the map in the jury room. So we did it. Well, I'm in the back of the house with my hard hat on, my yellow vest, big boots on, a sledgehammer over here, and tape and lath in a bag and bundle under my arms. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at this gentleman through the screen door, whose property that we're on. And I looked at, he had his hand on a faucet, and I realized that he could turn on one faucet at his screen back door and water his whole place. Garden, trees, a goat, chickens, and maybe more that I didn't observe. But it was a wonderful thing. It was his life, you might say. And here we were, flagging it for fair market value because it wasn't going to go. The freeway, and it has come through. He's gone. Probably they took off the surface and maybe another 200 feet deep. It was out east of Chula Vista in San Diego County. And right then I knew that this was wrong. This was absolutely wrong. I'd already been enraged, I guess you could say, that there had been many films about the earth being tore up, taken to a processing plant, make stuff, advertise it, people go on debt to buy it, and then they use it for 3 months and they throw it away, and then it goes into a landfill. That's polluting the land too. So there's been this awareness building in me, but this was the last straw.
That was the
to be eye to eye with him.
And his goat.
And his goat.
That really got your
And
goat.
seeing the chickens, you're right on this.
Right.
So we got back in the survey wagon, and the other crew members began playing cards again, and I wasn't playing cards with them. That was this whole thing. It was like, what is this?
That set into motion what became Ecology
Ecology
Action.
Action on Berkeley in famous year of '68. Time magazine immortalized it with a special issue. And I was there for the whole thing.
You were on the front lines of the
On the front lines.
sit-ins.
We
and
held a
the
very
showdowns.
famous Smog-Free Locomotion Day. We had a parade in Berkeley. We had everything from steam cars to electric motorcycles, pogo sticks, roller skates. We had the whole works there.
Now speaking of transportation, and you were working for the surveying company, so I assume that's for the federal or
The state.
The state company that builds these highways.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know we're going to talk about several different ecological issues, but while we're on that, how do you feel about the highways are, you know, basically it's a monopoly. The state builds and operates, it's highly subsidized, it's a monopoly on transportation. So I have a lot of, personally I have a lot of disagreements about that, and I think the whole system would be far different today if it hadn't been a monopoly for the past 50 years. We might be riding around on monorails or on superconductor trains, or who knows, but the system has been subsidized and pretty much locked in place and doesn't evolve.
Well, the founding moment for the freeways was, I guess, in the Eisenhower years, when the interstate was designed. Every so many miles, there's a straight stretch that's level, so it can be landed on.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say that the interstate was originally a series of landing zones with connecting links for self-defense. Remember back in the missile gang, most people maybe don't know about the missile gang. We had these trucks designed that could take their intercontinental missiles and drive them around on the interstate freeway system so Russia never knew where they were.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a shell game. And so part of that was that on the interstate freeways we could land our troop planes and supply trains and set up military bases in a moment's notice. And some in Berkeley in those days feared that it would be also concentration camps we'd be setting up.
So right out of the gate, interstates and transportation was tied to the military industrial complex.
Absolutely was. Yeah, that's
And
true.
And along with it, the idea was, well, the cities are congested, there's too many people, there's pollution in cities. We have all these open spaces in the countryside, let's just get people to spread out so there's less pollution. But really what that's done, because people commute 30, 40, 50 miles to work, back and forth to work,
Yes.
spreading people out actually creates more pollution.
Creates more.
Letting people live in concentrated areas actually it has problems, but it has a lot of benefits.
Yeah, a lot of benefits. Urban planning in Europe is far advanced over our planning here. We have a political process in place where the lands are targeted where the next giant mall is going to be out in the country. And the banks apparently like and can survive with funding the mall over here and then watching it slowly get less market share, and then the buying shifts to another mall over here. It's extremely wasteful. And we're all paying interest on everything now. We're all carrying a big interest load because of this wastefulness, and it's becoming realized that it's unaffordable to maintain this model, facilitated by the freeways.
Agreed.
So you and the Ecology Action Team were seeing society going down this path all the way back then.
All the way back then, yes.
And so, how does it feel? What do you see? What have we accomplished? And what's the state of affairs?
Well, I think we've seen a ratcheting up of awareness and concerns and difficulties, and I would go on record saying we've reached a climactic point of some kind. There will be, I hate to be a bringer of doom, but on the one hand you can look at a collapse. But on the other hand, which I choose to look at, I say the glass is filling. It's not empty or full right now, it's filling. The glass is filling. Because if you look kind of under the covers, people are doing wondrous things. I just heard on the news coming over here that there's at least 70 groups now with laundry ministries where they collect their funds and they give free washing and drying to people in need. And they talk to a machinist who's on reduced hours to the point that he can no longer afford to wash his clothes.
You should be building those washers and dryers. Fixing them.
Yes. Well,
and there are amazing things happening. I mean, Elon Musk of Tesla Motors just released the patents to society. They're now open. Anyone can take Tesla Motors electric car patents and tweak them and make them even better. So all you inventors out there, get on
that's
that.
right. That's right.
And we're inventing better ways to filter water, better ways to generate power, on and on. We're inventing and discovering how to live in harmony, and it's just not yet being implemented.
That's right.
There is hope. There is hope.
So,
wide
so
scale.
from this surveying experience, I went to University of California in Berkeley and was there for the 60s. That was an amazing thing. I'll tell you. I was there as an older student, thank goodness.
Mhm.
I avoided getting shot or beat up or anything. Because it was an enraging thing.
Had a
Many
little
people-
seniority. You weren't.
We had a thing, the Blue Meanies were in the Alameda County Sheriffs, and they had loaded shotgun shells going off there for a while.
Mhm.
But made the transition there into recycling because I saw the opportunity for an action that was financially possible to implement. And it's good because, it was a good action because you can be seen doing it.
Mhm.
You put your part of your trash, all of a sudden, instead of being in the garbage, you put it out on the street. That's a monumental thing to switch right there. Take part of your garbage and put it out by the street. I did a survival walk to kick off Earth Day. We walked from Sacramento to Los Angeles, 1970, the first Earth Day.
That's no short walk.
500 miles. and well, we did eco fairs in every stop. This was the times
golden
was
age.
right for
Yeah.
raising the issue.
Yeah.
And so we helped raise the issue. Well, when we got to Modesto, California, lo and behold, God willing, whatever you want to say, there were markets for newspapers, tin cans, aluminum cans, and the holy grail of recycling, mixed glass. We call it cullet,
Mhm.
because Gallo Glass in Modesto, California, make all their bottles right there.
You call it color. I like it.
Cullet. And we have a thing going on here with the purple glass too in Kansas City, and I shall soon get to know those people because they're good. They're part of the real good guys. So we made a footnote to that. Modesto has all these marketplaces for recyclables, and so all the way from there down to LA, we're thinking about returning to Modesto and starting curbside recycling routes, which has never been done before. So we're picking up what's called post-consumer waste with hippies.
Mhm.
The genuine hippies and bohemians, they drive their trucks and we pay them the tonnage they collected. So we set up the routes, we did the publicity, and we started on the black side of town in Modesto, California. That would be on the west side of the freeway.
Mhm.
Like many towns in California, the freeway split them and took part of the black neighborhood away, and then what was left became our first collection route in Modesto. And we maneuvered ourselves into a vote on the city council, which is a long story, to get approval in the other parts of the city. Post magazine wrote a big story on us, that first recycling in the country. And it just was time. It was a time to get it done.
Mhm.
So we had a drop-off, we had a buyback center, and we had collection routes not only in Modesto, but in Turlock and also Syrtis, 3 towns we started.
Now, how many people did you work with and sit
First-
in meetings with and
first of all,
Ecology Action?
there were
How
3 of
big
us
an organization.
Yeah, in Berkeley, there were probably 20, most living in our house.
Mhm.
Mary Pacios, a famous author. She's an authority on Betty Short, the Black Dahlia murders. If people want to get to know her.
Mhm.
But we had her living with us, and we established Ecology Action as a conscientious objector alternate service activity. So not only were we doing environmental work, we were
You're using
serving
a lot of
as a
words.
place where conscientious objectors could serve their time, so
Yeah.
in a helpful way. So that felt really good too.
Yeah.
So when we left on the survival walk, many of those people came with us. We saw this opportunity in Modesto, so some folks stayed in Berkeley, and my wife and I and one more were starting Ecology Action anew in Modesto.
Modesto.
And that grew to the point where we had 25, 30 employees, depending how busy we were.
So it doesn't take a lot of people to make change happen.
It doesn't,
Start
no, it doesn't.
yourself, start with a couple of friends.
A couple of friends, get
Passionate
going.
people. Yeah.
There's something about founder's karma, which I'm trying to understand more and more about. It's like it gets back to the metaphysics and the spiritual side of things, that it's done with love It's done as a witness, and it's done with the understanding that it carries its own energy forward. So the beauty of it was, we said recycle, and then people would drive around and they see these set-outs. Now it's a common thing to see the set-outs by the curb, out by the sidewalk. But it wasn't so common then, so it's stuck in people's minds, you know.
So
And
we
once
have made some progress over the years.
So once it got started, and that was started in the full-time route collection, I think it was in '72. We had it going in 1972. And then I went from there to touring the country. I rode the trains and the Greyhounds, sometimes flew. So in hindsight, my carbon footprint wasn't too out of wasn't too horrible. I was on a college lecture speaking tour for a while, and we began spreading the word. And I can remember coming through Kansas City. We came through Kansas City, and I walked uphill from that great station to a Chinese restaurant. And I've gone back and tried to find it, but I think some of the new construction was wiped it out. It was an old wooden building. It was great food. I tried to reconnect with that first trip to Kansas City. But I see Kansas City as home of a renaissance. We didn't mention that so much in my prior talks in the woods with Ben here. But
the current state of affairs, yeah, Cliff and I have talked at length about, and he mentioned before that we're reaching a tipping point or a kind of climax or culmination, and seeing that expressed as a kind of renaissance.
Yes.
From the grassroots, the common people, everyday people, are kind of grabbing a hold somewhere and getting it done.
And we call ourselves the heartland here. That's the first time I thought of myself as a native.
Smack dab in the middle of the country.
It's the heartland, and there's a certain knowledge about the heartland. Historically, certain goods went east from here, and other things went west from here.
For those of our national audience and international audience, we are filming in the Kansas City area, Missouri. It's right in the middle of the United States.
Yes.
For those of you,
Yes.
keep it up.
So there's two heartlanders. There's the people who identify with the Midwest, living here now or were here. And then the other heartlanders would be those who identify with the basic energy of your show. That you have your heart with the Earth Mother. Churches, they can talk about the Holy Father. Yeah, that's all good. But now we need to work with the Earth Mother. Where we all come from.
Yes.
And where we're all headed. And the walk, Ben and I were just talking how to walk and see and feel the ebb and flow of the woods, the seasons, the little zephyrs of the wind and the smell and the things you can hear. To be with the mother, to be with nature and on earth.
Fascinating. You know, my religious or spiritual belief is that everything is God. This is all an idea or an expression in the mind of spirit, whatever you want to call it.
You heard it here, folks.
And yet for some reason, I personally, Ned Kelly, can relate to spirit or God more easily around what we call nature. Water, trees, plants. Even though I believe the factory and the car and the what we call pollution is also just as equally God.
Sure.
Yet, I find it fascinating that most of us can kind of more easily recognize God in the plant and in the lake than we can in the factory.
Well, and you mentioned founder's karma when it comes to organizations. Well, things, devices, works of art, anything that we create bears the imprint of the state of consciousness that we're in when we create it, and the intent that goes into it, and the heart and soul, or lack thereof, that gets put into it.
Yes.
The problem with the factories and the cars and with the culture as a whole is that it's largely divorced, at least consciously, from the intention of being in harmony with spirit. Factories aren't designed as worship to the Father, Mother, God. The factories aren't designed as a temple or even to be in harmony with nature and to coexist with it. They're not designed with wholeness and balance in mind.
So the intention that went into the manifestation of it has created at least this sense of separation.
And from distortion or something, yeah.
We have the whole question of capitalism. Of course, I've been tenderized by coming through Berkeley in the 60s of using the word capitalism. Business is necessary. There's no doubt about that. Banks and financial institutions probably necessary. But we haven't made peace yet between the word economy and the word ecology. It's fascinating. I call it the eco-twins. ECO of both words means household. So we have ecology meaning household knowledge and economy meaning household management. But we put them in reverse order. We've given all of our attention to economy and not learned about and put stewardship practices in for the ecology. So this is the big moment for the human race on Earth, you could say.
Yeah.
We're all Earthlings. We're not here by nationality. The Quakers make a good point of that. They're way beyond being citizens of somewhere. They're Quakers. You know, their citizenship is spiritual.
We've talked about that here on the show.
Go back to episodes talking about borders and nationalism. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we're Earthlings on spaceship Earth. We have no resupply stations. It's been written that we need a whole new virgin planet off the starboard side to replenish what's going on here now.
But until we find that.
But see, the exciting point is, I got the glass filling now, is the hidden play that's coming is the brotherhood and peacefulness and diversity that literature dreams about. It's within reach. We just have to take it.
It is.
Have to take it.
And what's fascinating is that right now, as we're recording this show and talking about getting back in harmony and tuning back into brotherhood and fellowship and
sisterhood
and communal love, sisterhood too, and motherhood and fatherhood.
Yes.
And there's also teams of scientists somewhere that are talking about drilling in Alaska and actually probably trying to build rockets to go mine Mars too. I mean, it's all happening. There's still people convinced that what we need is more of the same.
Yeah.
And they're pushing hard in the same direction.
I think we will see in our lifetime robots mining asteroid belt. I think that will happen.
Well, the way technology is curving up now and picking up speed, anything's possible.
So you talk about a curve, by the way. You know that I have a survival graph, and I could even just use the illustration without a graph, that mortgages for a lot of people are what we call underwater now.
Yeah.
And that means the value is below the asking price. So what we've done, we put a population draw upon the planet that the fertility and the viability of the earth can't sustain. So in the same way, we're underwater now.
As a nation.
And we're behind.
As the entire
globe.
As a planet.
As the entire globe, we're underwater now. So, what better way to build humanity and total brotherhood, sisterhood? How can we say that better? Brother human bonds.
Fellowship.
Or as Margaret Mead says, become the humanes. Become the humanes and get this thing to work. And so, we have people whistling in the fields, you know, whistling as solar collectors are installed, and so on and so forth, and putting away sweet potatoes. Good sweet potato project in Kansas City. Dig those spuds in and put them away and give them to the food pantries and whistle. When you see a beautiful sunset, park and blow your horn and celebrate nature. You know, we need this arrival of spirits.
So yeah, there's at least two calls here. One for simply the work of building new, harmonious, sustainable communities, businesses that are designed and built to coexist, to be in harmony with nature. To not take too much, but to give back and keep the balance.
Right.
And also a call for us as individuals to get our own hearts back beating in time with the heart of the planet.
Yeah.
That we as individuals need to get back to the woods.
That's right.
And appreciating the sunsets.
There's another demonstration we have right here with us all. Vote with your wallet.
Yes.
What future do you want? Every time you spend $1, it's going this direction or that direction.
It is.
So you got to think about it. So voting is one thing, but this is another one.
That's
Very good.
that's the real power choice
That's
right
the
there.
real, we drive the show.
That's the one. That
We
really
might not
listen.
think that we do, but we drive the show by what we buy. And advertising probably is so subtle, we don't realize how important that is in the way of shaping the world around us. Everything that's for sale and shown, there's a product, but also it's enveloped in a upper middle class or middle class environment. Big houses, shiny kids, shiny cars, you know, new pets. Look at the ads. What is it that's being sold here? Tide soap, of course, but also a brand new house with a washer dryer.
An ideal. It's not just a product. It's an ideal.
Pushing the drink.
And one that is ultimately, I think, unsustainable. Do we have the resources that all 7 billion people on planet Earth can have a 3 or 4 bedroom upper middle class home with a 3-car garage and 3 cars in it? I don't think we have those kind of resources. We gotta realign our priorities.
I love that you touched on that to be active, to make things happen, to make change doesn't necessarily mean go vote for that particular politician or vote for pass a new law. I love that we've mentioned all these ways that are on an individual basis, on a local basis, on your choices about where you shop basis.
You can go volunteer at the laundry ministry. You can go to the supermarket, and when you're there, stray on over to the health food section, the organic section, and choose to buy the organic milk that came from a local farm. You know, choose to buy the recycled products, even if they cost more, because every single time, and we've talked about this at length, Cliff, every time you choose something that's bad for the planet, something that's unsustainable because it's cheaper or more convenient, we suffer a tiny little defeat every time we make that choice. And it's those little defeats that have got us where we are now. And as individuals, if we can stand up and turn those around, we don't realize it. Moment by moment, and little choice by little choice.
Little victories.
We can turn those into little victories.
Awesome.
We can be standing up for the world that
I'm
we really
inspired. I'm inspired.
That's a segue, by the way.
It
One of the things on my mind right now.
What's on your mind?
I've done a 300-page book called Homeworld Makeover. I like the idea of us thinking of the Earth as our home world.
Can I show them the cover?
Yeah,
I got
okay. It's soon going to be issued in thirds
Our Homeworld Makeover by Cliff
on
Humphrey.
Amazon.
Not available yet, but to
Soon.
be soon on Amazon.
The idea now that will be the action part of this first 3 chapters, it's going to be 300-page segments, is that Wednesday becomes a day of witnessing or peace, like tiny victories, you think. Everybody that goes to work is aware of recycling taking place in the office or not taking place in the office. Ink cartridges are now routinely recycled, but other materials are not. So recycling, let's make it now legal. Always on Wednesday, these matters can be raised without penalty of anger on your supervisor or boss going, oh my, not again, Jamie, you know, whatever it might be, you know. Improve recycling on Wednesdays. Look at the total green footprint of your place where you live. How you take care of your kids. Wednesdays can become a day of peace. Maybe the first Wednesday of the month will be the most important of the Wednesdays in that month for certain things.
Wednesday is Peace Day.
Wednesday
start a campaign.
And there is if you go on the internet and put in Wednesday Peace Movement, you'll be surprised what you find.
Wednesday Peace Movement. You all hear
Wednesday
that?
Peace Movement.
Israel,
Google it.
Gaza,
Ukraine.
Afghanistan. Wednesday is Peace Day, so today is Sunday.
this
a couple of
goes-
days. You gotta put down the guns, park the jets. Yeah.
This
And
goes all the way
break
back
bread together.
to in what was it? Industrial World Workers United, the Wobbly Movement, Industrial Workers of the World, the IWW. There's a movement coming out of World War I, and there's even the thinking of Wednesday in the nuclear bomb groups protesting that would walk the borders of metropolitan regions of how much it would be destroyed when the nuclear bomb went off if they happened.
Wow.
There's a lot of thinking has gone into making Wednesday a conference day, a peace day, and so on. Yeah, go and take a look
Yeah.
and be inspired. And you yourself can make a personal commitment, even so small as I have done on downtown San Francisco, picking up trash, blowing in the wind, saying this is just ridiculous. On Market Street down there, one time it just came to me so clear. I have to get that chronicle blowing into 20 pages of litter, right now before it becomes 100 pages of litter. And so I did, and I asked people, get that one down there. Hey, yeah, catch this one before it goes under the streetcar. And we had a little thing going. We had like a spontaneous happening, and I've continued that to this day. I go into QT here in town, and I even picked up paper out from underneath somebody's foot.
Pardon me?
Yeah, I get it, that's right now.
So I think if I can take away anything from our show here today, it's that every little thing matters. Every little plastic wrapper that you pick up or don't pick up, it all matters. And it's when we all pitch in on an individual basis to get it all picked up, to get it all cleaned up, and to do what's right and what needs to be done. That's when we'll see it happen.
Is that what you learned on the show today?
That's what I learned on the show.
All right. I learned there's a great sweet potato movement in Kansas City.
Yes.
Is there a website?
Tons, yes.
Or just a general?
I guess sweet potato growing would put that in there and see what you get. But there is a
I
group-
think it's actually part of an international effort spearheaded by Vandana Shiva. It's
Oh,
the
could
Sweet
be.
Potato Project.
Could be.
That Kansas City is a part of that movement, but it's
I
much
think
bigger
we're
than
at 40
Kansas
tons
City.
now. I think
Yeah.
we're at 40 tons.
Do you have anything else you want to plug today?
Well, you don't have to wait till Wednesday.
All right. Don't have to wait till
We can make
Wednesday.
Peace Day today.
And of course, we mentioned the litter drive, and there's been studies how many people see each piece of litter. I mean, so if we could each get 3 a day, just get your 3 a day. They say that about almonds too, I think. Either 10 a day or something like that.
3 a day keeps the litter away.
And then move on. Move on from there.
All right.
Everything to relatives you haven't talked to about this or that, you got to make your peace with your relatives. And look at what you're spending your money on. And then there's many things waiting to be done. We need to establish a habitat for the migrating butterflies, milkweed planting, bat boxes to build, pulling invasive weeds in our parks. It goes on, and there's plenty to do. And
Sounds like there's plenty. We'll have to have you back.
Yeah,
Well,
we'll have
and
to
it
do another
establishes-
show.
it establishes a brotherhood.
It does.
We're
Well, Cliff,
ancestor-
thank you, my friend. You've been a great
You're welcome.
guest. Thank you
You're
for,
welcome.
for coming by and sharing your
Thank
stories
you.
and your
Thank you
wisdom
very
with us. And thank you, Ned. As always, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And thank you for watching, for being a part of the show.
Here on Sunday Brunch,
The Sunday Brunch with Ben and Ned. Until next time,
we like to do this.
All right.
peace.
Peace.